have a proper heading on the top of your paper. You should have the objective copied down also. Can someone read the objective? Excuse me. Anybody? Question.
Identify internal and external conflicts among characters in the fourth stage of development, as described in plot, based on the sequence of events from the most dangerous games.
Okay, so our new story, as we talked about on Monday, is going to be the most dangerous games. I enjoyed the story. This is why I don't want any interruption. You'll enjoy it too. Entertainment don't only have to come from movies. It can also come from literature. Literature can go into a lot more detail than motion pictures can anyhow. And it builds a lot more suspense because you don't get to the actual answer of something until you finish reading through the statement or the phrase of the sentence. Okay, so we're doing the same thing that we did in the necklace. We're going to plot out the story, but we're not using our ice cream plot maps. You're just going to use notes on your paper. And we're going to also talk about conflict. So we took down the notes about conflict last time, and we said that there's a couple of different types of conflict. What are those different types of conflict? Thank you. Man versus man. Don't be afraid to say an answer. You might be wrong, you might be right. Who cares? Man versus man, man versus self, man versus nature, man versus society. And okay, so an internal conflict would be which one of those? Man versus what? Self. Okay, man versus self would be an internal conflict, something that's going on in this inside someone's head. Okay, and everything else would be considered an external conflict. So you have an issue with nature or with society or with machines, or you have an issue with other characters. Okay, so we have man versus man, man versus self, and then man versus nature. So we're going to go through the story. As we go through the story, look for those conflicts. Maybe I haven't pointed all of them out for myself, and so you need to be paying attention. Who's getting into some type of a conflict? Or does this person have issues with him or herself? Okay, so look for those different type of conflicts, and you can only do that if you're paying attention. So as someone is reading, remember you should be reading along, not only so you're paying attention, but also because it might involve you seeing a word you've never seen before, and that will help you with your fluency later when you read. A lot of people, they don't want to read because they don't recognize the words. This will help you to recognize words you've never seen before. That's why we should be paying attention. All right, on page 38, let's just read at the top, focus your reading. So it says, every story plot centers on a key conflict or struggle. We've talked about that before. We have to have some type of a problem in order to drive the story forward, or else we don't have a story. This struggle may exist between people or between people and nature or society, which we just discussed. Sometimes, though, the struggle may go on inside a character, as it does in this passage from the story you're about to read. I was lying in my tent with a splitting headache one night when a terrible thought pushed its way into my head. Hunting was beginning to bore me, and hunting, remember, had been my life. So this is an example of an internal conflict, man versus self. He has thoughts that are forcing their way inside of his head. Okay, so those are issues that he has with himself. So keep in mind to look out for the conflicts, and then if you were absent, then sometime throughout this period, make sure you copy down those words in the words to know box. There will be more later, but we defined those words, which I'll check for tomorrow. All right, let's start reading on page 40. Everyone should be reading along, every single word that's being read. I want to start off. Who's going to take over for me? Strong, brave person who wants to read very loud and strong for the class. Who's going to take over for me? Otherwise, I'll just pick. Okay, so I'll just pick the next person. All right, let's start. Top of page 40. Starts off with a quote. Can't see it, remarked Rainsford, trying to peer through the dank tropical night that was palpable as it pressed its thick, warm blackness in upon the yacht. So we don't exactly have a setting, but we kind of do. Where are the characters so far? Where? Thank you. They're on the yacht. So it doesn't say in the woods quite yet, but we do know that they're on a yacht. Okay, so on your paper, put setting. Okay, and you can put the first place is a yacht. First place is a yacht. Then, next to that, put character. You need a writing utensil? I'll bring it to you. Then next to that, put character, and then you can put what Ronald said, Rainsford. Okay? So we have a first character, Rainsford, and we have a place, and the place is the yacht so far. Okay, now I have another question for you. Who's ever heard of personification? Who's ever heard of personification? One person, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, out of those 6 people, who can accurately tell me what personification is? Out of those 6 people, 1. Okay, so we've heard of it, we can't quite identify it though. Quasi, what's personification?
You give something that's not living, something that's not living described as a human, like human.
Yep, so when you give inanimate objects, things that are not living, human-like characteristics, okay? So, you know, if I say, if I put the book on the chair of the desk and I sat on the book so that I could see a little higher than usual, and I could say, wow, this book is sniffing my butt. Okay, we know that the book isn't really sniffing anything because books don't sniff. They don't have noses. Okay, so that would be giving an inanimate object human-like characteristics. Where in that first sentence, because that all of that what I just read is one sentence, where is there an instance of personification? So read back through that first sentence that I just read and pick out the personification. Should I sit up? Read back through the first sentence that I just read, and I need you to pick out the personification. So we're reading. Look back through the first sentence. Okay, Ronald. I couldn't hear you. Take your time. Yeah, but I want you to say it. Okay, thick, warm blackness. Read the phrase. Read the phrase. Read the whole phrase. No, the sentence. Finish the sentence off.
Thick, warm blackness is upon the yacht.
The yacht. Okay, but what was it doing? It was doing something. What was it doing? Miss Gabby. You had a question or you had an answer? Did you have a question or did you have an answer? Oh, I'm scratching. All right, who else had their hand up? What is the thick blackness doing? The thick blackness of what? First of all, the trail. It didn't appear. It pressed. Thank you. Okay, so so we said that the tropical night pressed its thick, warm blackness in upon the yacht. Tropical nights, any type of nights, they can't press anything. They don't have ligaments where they can start pressing things. They can't do that. So that's personification. Okay, that lets us understand it a little better. But it also is creativity that gets us into the story a little bit more. It makes us a little more interesting. Like, whoa. Okay, it makes it a little more vivid for us. Okay, we start reading again. At the top, that second paragraph. Everyone should be looking at their books, not looking at their neighbor, not doing anything else. No heads down. You've good eyes, said Whitney with a laugh. And I've seen you pick off a moose moving in the brown fall bush at 400 yards. Even you can't see 4 miles or so through a moonless Caribbean night. Okay, so now we have a place. Aaron, number 1. Now we have a place. What's the place? Okay, the Caribbean. So on your sheet of notes, put down under setting, put the Caribbean. If you need to know how to spell it, it's that last line in that second paragraph. The Caribbean. Also, we said Monday, what is the timing? What's the time period? 20th century. So you should have down yacht, the Caribbean, and 20th century under setting. Yacht, the Caribbean, and 20th century. And we also have a second what? Character. What's the second character's name? Whitney, and Whitney is a guy.
What?
It's like there's guys named Stacy, Ashley, Tracy, Courtney, guys Quincy.
I'm married.
So you should have on your paper setting 20th century, or it should say 1900s. Then also it should say the Caribbean on the yacht, two characters so far, Rainsford and Whitney. We haven't gotten that far yet. Okay, let's keep going. So it says, Nor 4 yards, admitted Rainsford. It's like moist black velvet. It will be light enough in Rio, promised Whitney. We should make it in a few days. I hope the Jaguar guns have come from Purdue's. We should have some good hunting up the Amazon. Great sport hunting. The best sport in the world, agreed Rainsford. For the hunter, amended Whitney. Not for the Jaguar. Don't talk rot, Whitney, said Rainsford. You're a big game hunter, not a philosopher. Who cares how a jaguar feels? Perhaps the jaguar does, observed Whitney. Bah, they have no understanding. Even so, I'd rather think they understand one thing. Fear. The fear of pain and the fear of death. Nonsense, laughed Rainsford. This hot weather is making you soft, Whitney. Be a realist. The world is made up of 2 classes, the hunters and the huntees. Luckily, you and I are hunters. Do you think we've passed that island yet? So, we have one conflict so far. What's the first conflict? What's the first conflict? Shoot, it slipped. I'm sorry. Give me your name again. Cherise. I'm sorry, Cherise. Basically, they what? They have to hunt, but I don't want number 1. Ryan, warning number 1. They have to hunt, but that wasn't the first conflict. What's the first conflict around? What's the first conflict? Ronald, move to seat number 1. What's the first conflict? Okay, Aaron Marshall. He is getting soft. Okay, so who told he? Who's he? Whitney. Okay, who told Whitney he's becoming soft? Rainsford. Why? Rio is a place. That's why we need to be paying attention and not talking. Because he said that what? Because he said that the jaguars possibly have feelings. So we can say that there's kind of 2 different conflicts going on there. We can say that there's one conflict between, we can call this one internal. Okay, and we'll call these over here external. So on your paper, just make a little chart that says internal and external. So, the first conflict that I believe we have is external. And the first conflict that I think we have is, and I didn't list this from my other class, I think the first conflict is the 2 sailors versus nature, because they cannot see. Okay? So we're going to say sailors versus tropical night. You can say dark tropical night, you can say tropical night, whatever you need to. So the sailors versus the tropical night. Okay, and we're going to say that that is M versus N, nature. Okay, and we're going to say the issue was that they can't see. Okay, can't see. Then there was an internal conflict. We're going to say the internal conflict was Whitney and his thoughts. So, Whitney and his thoughts. Girls, turn your voices off, please. Just because I'm not looking doesn't mean I can't hear. You should be writing this down. Whitney versus his thoughts, which we're going to say that's M versus what? Man versus what? Self. Okay, M versus S. Man, oh, well, say self because it could be society. So, man versus self. And in his thoughts, he was defending animals as a hunter. And so that's a conflict right there. Hunters don't defending animals as a hunter, because hunters don't defend animals. Okay, but then there was another external conflict. What was the next external conflict we just named? Someone named it already. We said it was between Whitney and Rainsford. Okay, so the next conflict is external, and I named it first because I didn't pick up on this in the other classes, but now I have. So the next conflict is external, and it's Rainsford and Whitney, and it's about animals having feelings, which is man versus man. Okay, so that's the next one. We should be writing these down. We're writing all this down, and we're writing this down. These are the conflicts we've come in contact with so far. The majority of us are finished copying, so let's continue. Our eyes on page 40 at the bottom where it says, I can't tell. Okay, so I can't tell in the dark. I hope so. That's not where I left off, is it? Is it? Oh, okay. So they're asking if they've passed a certain island yet. I can't tell in the dark. I hope so. Why? Asked Rainsford. The place has a reputation, a bad one. Cannibals? Suggested Rainsford. Hardly. Even cannibals wouldn't live in such a godforsaken place. But it's gotten into sailor lore. Somehow. Didn't you notice that the crew's nerves seemed a bit jumpy today? They were a bit strange. Now you mention it. Even Captain Nielsen. Yes, even that tough-minded old Swede who'd go up to the devil himself and ask him for life. Those fishy blue eyes held a look I've never saw there before. All I could get out of him was, this place has an evil name among seafaring men, sir. Then he said to me, very gravely, don't you feel anything? As if the air about us was actually poisonous. Now, you mustn't laugh when I tell you this. I did feel something like a sudden chill. There was no breeze. The sea was as flat as a plate glass window. We were drawing near the island then. What I felt was a mental chill, a sort of sudden dread. Pure imagination, said Rainsford. One superstitious sailor can One superstitious sailor can taunt the world ship's company. Can taint the world ship's company with his fear. All right, so in this paragraph we read over cannibals. What's a cannibal? People who eat people. Okay, cannibal is a person who eats another person, kind of like we're carnivores and we're people who eat animals. So cannibals are people who eat other people. And so they're passing up, they're in the yacht in the Caribbean, it's dark, they can't see anything, and they're passing up this island, and they're like, well, I hope we pass up that island. That island has a certain reputation, a negative one about it. So then we came in contact with another character who's never going to be seen in the story, but what was the character's name? Captain Nielsen. Okay, so you can, if you want to, you can put Captain Nielsen under characters and put unseen character. Sometimes they'll want you to even know that there's unseen characters that never make an appearance in the story. So it's Captain Nielsen. On page 40 in the second column, Captain Nielsen. So, and we saw that there's crew members. So on this yacht, there's a captain and there's crew members, and we're writing. On the yacht, we see that there's a captain and some crew members, so they must all be asleep by now. And so it's just Whitney and Rainsford who are deliberating about this situation with the island. And so, let's see. Okay, with the captain, there's another conflict. So we can call that one external. We can call it man versus man. So we can call it, we can say Whitney and Captain Nielsen. And who can tell me what the conflict was between Whitney and Captain Nielsen? Which is man, M versus M. What was the conflict with that one? What was the conflict? So read back through that statement on page 40 in the second column. What do you think would possibly be a conflict there? Quasi? I want you to pick it out of the details in the story. So read back over that, those few sentences in that paragraph, and what is the conflict there? Sharice? Yes, I know. What's the conflict there? Man versus self. No, we said it's man versus man. It is man versus man. But what conflict or issue did he have with the captain? What did he say about the captain? That he what? Couldn't get anything out of him. I want you to get it from the story though. What did he say about the captain? How did you describe the captain? Is what? He was scared. I want you to give me the details though. He's what? That doesn't say that. I want the exact statement from the, what does he say about the captain from the actual text? 9. You have your hand up? No. Okay, yes.
He said, yes, even that tough-minded old money who us to the devil himself and actually pray.
Hey, yeah. So he said this this tough-minded person who would go up to the devil. So he has an issue with Captain Nielsen's personality. Okay, so we'll put personality. Okay, he would go up to the devil himself and ask him for a life. So he thinks that this captain is this overbearing, tough guy.